Hi, all of you Bukowski maniacs out there. Quite an unexpected video today. Almost every semester, some of the professors are cleaning out their office. And what they will do is they'll get a box and they'll just put out the stuff that they no longer want. Look at this. 6 pristine books by Charles Bukowski. Let me show them to you. So to begin with, 2 novels by Bukowski, Hollywood and Ham on Rye. Okay, they're not Bukowski's best novels. I know everybody says Post Office is his best, but I prefer Factotum. I think Factotum is more fun. Post Office, yeah, it's good. Maybe that is the best one because that was his first novel, but I read Factotum first before I read Post Office, and that was really what made me go, holy shit, this Bukowski guy is insane. I want to read everything he ever wrote. And I did. This novel is Bukowski writing semi-autobiographical novel of the making of Barfly with Mickey Rourke and Faye Dunaway. And it's good. Then there's this, Ham on Rye, which is about Bukowski's early childhood. I believe it starts with his very first memory. The first thing I remember is being under something. It was a table. I saw a table leg. I saw the legs of the people and a portion of the tablecloth hanging down. It was dark under there. I liked being under there. It must have been in Germany. I must have been between 1 and 2 years old. It was 1922. I felt good under the table. It goes from that very first memory of his to when he's a teenager, when he's in his 20s. I think the novel ends somewhere around the fact that he goes to a college for a little while where he does not do very well. This is the novel where he discovers the joys of alcohol. If I were to read one of these, I think I would read this one. Although this one might be the better novel. This one, I felt Bukowski was on the downward slope of his writing ability. That it was a lot of name dropping. It was a lot of, I'm an old man and I need to have a drink. Don't ask me to attend any meetings. Don't ask me to incorporate Charles Bukowski because I need more to drink. And it was mostly that. Whereas this, it talks about his abusive father. It talks about his crazy situation as a high school student because apparently he had extremely bad acne, which caused him to be the way he was, discovering sex and discovering alcohol. So I think this one's a little bit better, but somehow I would prefer to read Hollywood. I don't know why. I think now because I would recognize the names of the actors and the directors and the producers, whereas the first time I read it, I didn't recognize anybody. Oh, now we have these collections of poetry. The Last Night of the Earth poems. I remember this collection of poems because this was the first one that I was extremely disappointed in. It's 405 pages, and I remember going through it and not liking the vast majority of these poems. Let me read you this one. It's called Poetry. Poetry. It takes a lot of desperation, dissatisfaction, and disillusion to write a few good poems. It's not for everybody, either to write it or even to read it. This book is pristine. Like, this is in mint condition. Except that the teacher, I don't know if you could see this, he has this stamp that he's embossed his name on. I always thought that I would like to have something like that. I could stamp my books. But now that I'm holding in my hands someone who has done that, I think to myself, what a pretentious shegfay. I believe this was Bukowski's last collection of poetry published while he was still alive, just before he died in 92, 93 of leukemia. That's what I remembered, that I just didn't love this one. This one I liked a lot more, and this one was quite a special one because in 1992, I went to university for 1 year in Ottawa, Carleton University. In the library, in the general collection on the shelves, they had a copy of this that was signed by Bukowski, and I even remember how it was signed. God, my memory is really quite good occasionally. It was signed, "You get so alone at times that you think you're Charles Bukowski, but you're not, 'cause I am." You know, Charles Bukowski. For a 20-year-old at university to pick this off the shelf when I should have been probably reading and studying for much more important things, and to see that it was signed by the author and it was really a beat-up old copy, man, I wanted to steal that book. Who knows, it's probably still on the shelf today. That's what I remember about this. I don't recall if it's a good one or, just so-so mediocre, but I will always remember that copy at the Carleton University Library that was signed. And, and I was such a huge Bukowski fanatic at the time that, I recognized his handwriting. I knew that that was his writing and his signature. God damn. Dangling in the Tournefortia. I think this was a good one. As for Bukowski's poetry, it's hard because he wrote so incredibly much. I think his best poetry was Play the Piano Drunk Like a Percussion Instrument. I think that was really a good one. There was also Rooming House Madrigals, good collections of poetry that I really liked. I think this was also a good one. Published in 1981. See, Bukowski really dropped off. He really became very derivative. He became, quite a parody of himself, which, he became famous, he became successful, and anything that he wrote got published by Black Sparrow Press. Look at how big this collection is. It's ridiculous. Hundreds of poems in this collection. And here's, there's a list of publications by Charles Bukowski. He wrote a lot. Often the quality just wasn't there. But he has such a devoted legion of fanatics who obsess over Charles Bukowski that people bought everything. Look, this university professor has all of these, and these are the ones he just gave away. So he probably kept all the good ones. What's really weird is that he died. I believe his last novel was Pulp, which was also in the free bin, but I just didn't take it because it's such a piece of shit, that book. Pulp was his last novel, and I believe this was his last collection of poetry while he was alive. But when I went to a bookstore and I looked at Charles Bukowski, I didn't even recognize the titles. There were so many new publications since his death. It's really quite suspiciously large, the amount of poetry that has been published since he died. Even if he was writing 10 poems a night, drinking 2 bottles of wine, I don't think it would equal the amount of books that have been published posthumously. I really believe there's a little enclave of Bukowski imitators who are writing the Bukowski thing, and they just keep publishing these with the Bukowski name because people keep buying these stupid collections. I'll try to see how many publications have come out since he died. If you publish an author's letters, I don't think you should do, but when he was alive, Bukowski had a correspondence with the Canadian poet Al Purdy, and they published those letters while the two authors were still alive. And okay, if both of the men are alive and they agree to it, fair game. But when someone dies, I think their correspondence are private. I think it's a very cheap and money-grabbing way that their relatives have of trying to make money off their dead relative. If it's his wife, or he was an only child, but he had a daughter. I think he had a couple of ex-wives. It's not his problem. It's really the publishing company just being greedy, saying, yeah, we'll just keep publishing that till the money's not there anymore, then we'll stop. Now this last one, Septuagenarian Stew, published when he was 70 years old. This is quite a nice collection because this is some poetry and short stories. However, again, I think this is 1990. So this is when he's past his best years, for sure. But I remember there was quite a lot of good stuff in this one still. 375 pages. There he is. There's the old son of a bitch. The reason this one is quite special for me is because when I was 20 years old, I was infatuated in love with a girl that I used to work with. I was a lifeguard and she was a lifeguard, and I was just fixated on this girl, just beautiful and intelligent and just perfect. We will be together. As long as I keep writing her long rambling letters every week, one day she will realize that this is the love. I was one of those when I was at university. I was one of those smoking and drinking and writing letters. What a waste of time that was, my first year at university, but I had fun, I guess. Except my roommate stole all my furniture at the end of it. Oh well, fuck that guy. So this book, I bought it, probably $35, $40, and I mailed it to her as a token of my affection. And I remember mailing it cost another $36, $37. But I thought, oh, if I do that, she will understand how much I really care. And I think she wrote back, oh, thanks a lot for the book. I'll read it when I get some time. I'm a little bit busy these days, but when I get some time, I'll read it and tell you what I think about it. She got married to someone and had 2 children, and sadly her husband died of a brain tumor. And I think back, I said, what if she had have said, yeah, Grant, all of those dozens and dozens of letters with the bad spelling and the ink stains and the coffee stains and the beer foam have convinced me that, yeah, you are really the guy to be with. I was a mess. I was a kid. I was a big Bukowski smoking, drinking child. So this is very, very special for me because of that. I was young. I know you're laughing, but come on, I was young, so don't laugh too much, because you were young too, and you did stupid stuff also, didn't you? I hope you did, because God, those memories are fun memories to go back to. So as I mentioned, there was also pulp, which I just said no, I can't even be bothered to take it for free because it's such a stupid piece of shit. And there was the other one. There was the photography book, which I also left. I know what Bukowski looks like. I don't need pictures of him. And it's such a peculiar shape. It doesn't fit well on the bookshelf anyway. So I left those for anyone to discover. Yeah, so that was a big, very, very unexpected Bukowski book haul. What am I going to do with these? I think I might read Hollywood, and I think I might read this collection, Dangling and the Tournefortia. I think I'll read those as a bit of a, nostalgia, remembering when I was young and wild. And I really was. It wasn't just buying these new books from, in Ottawa, there used to be a bookstore called Prospero Books. That was the only place you can get really weird, small press alternative books, before Bukowski was commonly known. People knew about the movie Barfly, but they weren't so familiar with the author who wrote it. So I would go there and I would buy these expensive books and cigarettes and beer and wine. I remember how disappointed my parents were when I went to university to study English literature. Studying English literature isn't such a bad idea if your kid is unsure about what their future is going to look like. Just go to university, get a Bachelor of Arts in English literature. Okay, and maybe along the way you'll figure out what you really want to do. Maybe you'll switch to something a little bit psychology or sociology, something where it might get you a job afterwards. It wasn't the English literature so much, it was just I was too crazy to be living on my own with a roommate who was also kind of crazy. That's what young people do, right? They go to university and they're crazy and, they get into trouble, they run out of money, and they learn. Running out of money is the greatest instructor in the world, because you will suddenly come to understand the value of money. You'll be in the grocery store looking at the eggs, thinking, okay, eggs, how can I steal these? How many of these can I steal? Doing your washing your clothes, how much does that cost? Is there a way I can figure out how to do this for free? But I guess there are just most probably, young people who are just a lot more mature and responsible than I was. Oh well. I was always one of the crazy ones. Man, I start sweating when I think about the things that have happened to me in my life because of alcohol. The risks I took that I did not even consider because I was always drunk. It seriously makes me feel fear today when I consider how careless I was with my life. Oh well, I'm still here, I guess. So what can I say? Well, that's very good, Gran. I think we've all really appreciated your moral today. Even though he's not my favorite author anymore, he is the author who did influence me my younger years the most, and I'm very happy to have these. What am I going to do? Well, I'll read them and I'll do a book lottery and I'll send them away. I'll mail them again. because I just can't learn my lesson the first time. Thank you very much for watching. Take care.